In this episode, we discuss subject-verb agreement. Using the correct verb with a subject improves the structure of our writing, which makes our compositions more entertaining and understandable. Objective: students will apply the rules of subject-verb agreement to oral and written sentences. Engage: underline the verbs in the sentences. A. Toussaint Louverture participated in the war for Haiti's independence. Verb there, participated. B. Jose Marti fought gallantly for Cuban independence. Verb, fought, past tense of fight. C. Jamaica's independence resulted from the efforts of Norman Manley and Alexander Bustamante. Verb in this sentence would be resulted, the past tense of result. D. Independence is a time of much celebration. This one is kind of tricky in that you might be looking hard to find it. It's not independence because that's an abstract noun and celebration is a noun as well. But the verb here is the word is, state of being. And we had done an episode on state of being verbs before. E. Many Caribbean countries are independent. Again, the verb here would be are. Okay, so the plural form of is, and that again is a state of being verb. F. A country becomes a nation with the achievement of independent status. And the verb here would be becomes. G. Jamaicans celebrate independence with music and dancing. So we have two verbs here that I'm seeing. We see celebrate and we see dancing. H. Britain colonized many Caribbean countries. Verb here, colonized. Explore. Now separate sentences as subject and predicate. Every complete sentence contains two parts, a subject and a predicate. The subject is what or whom the sentence is about, while the predicate tells us something about the subject. The predicate of the sentence contains the verb, which usually begins the predicate. For example, in the first sentence, we could question the verb to get the subject and predicate. The verb is participated, the word that tells that the action was done. Who participated? The answer to that question gives the subject. Toussaint Louverture. Participated in what? In the War of Haiti's independence. The verb and the section of the sentence that comes after it forms the predicate. Let me say that part again. The verb and the section of the sentence that comes after it forms the predicate. Explain. Sentences A, B, C, and H have verbs that are in the past tense. They remain the same whether the subject is singular or plural. Recall that a singular subject names one thing while a plural subject names two or more things. In sentences D, E, F, and G, the verbs are in the present tense. In this case, the subject must agree. If the subject is singular, a singular verb should be used. If the subject is plural, a plural verb should be used. The singular verb has an S attached, while the plural verb does not have an S. So in class, we like to say this. Singular subjects take a singular verb. Plural subjects take a plural verb. Singular verbs end with S, while plural verbs do not. Here are some rules for subject-verb agreement. Examine them. subjects and verbs must agree in number. In these examples, the subject is underlined and the verb is in bold. The dog growls when he is angry. The dogs growl when they are angry. So pay attention to this. So when it is one dog, we say the dog growls. But when it is more than one dogs, we say the dogs growl. So look at the verbs there, growl versus growls. So when you see the S, you know that we're looking at one. So it would be the dog. But when it has no S, then we should have what? A plural subject, as in dogs. Don't get confused by the words that come between the subject and verb. They do not affect the agreement. The dog who is chewing on my jeans is usually very good. The dog, that's the subject, and then we have some additional information, who is chewing on my jeans. That just gives you added details, is usually very good. So that little bit about who is chewing on my jeans, we could take that out of the sentence and it would not really change the meaning. All right. So the dog is usually very good, but they give you some extra information to say the dog who is chewing on my jeans, comma, is usually very good. So the dog is. Now, next rule says propositional phrases between the subject and the verb do not affect the agreement. Let's go with this. The colors of the rainbow are beautiful. Next one. When a sentence starts with there or here, the subjects will always be placed after the verb. So care needs to be taken to identify it correctly. There is a problem with the balance sheet. Here are the papers you requested. So the subject now, after the there is, the subject of the sentence would be a problem. Then, there is a problem with the balance sheet. Here are the papers you requested. So the subject is a problem, and a problem one is. Okay, so the verb would be is. Next rule, subjects do not always come before verbs in questions. Make sure you accurately identify the subject before deciding on the proper verb form to use. Where are the pieces of this puzzle? So, pieces would be the subject of that particular sentence, and pieces are. Next rule says, if two subjects are joined by and, they typically require a plural verb form. The cows and pig are jumping over the moon. The verb is singular if the two subjects are separated by and, refer to the same thing or person. For example, red beans and rice is my mom's favorite dish. So the red beans and rice are what? One dish. So we would say red beans and rice is, not red beans and rice are, because together that refers to one particular thing. Next rule says, if one of the words each, every, or no comes before the subject, the verb is singular. Here's the example. No smoking or drinking is allowed. Every man and woman is required to check in. Next rule. If the subjects are both singular and not connected by the words or, nor, neither, nor, either, or, and, not only, but also, the verb will be singular. So let's go with this. Here are some examples. Jessica or Christian is to be blamed for the accident. So in this setup, we could break these out 1-1. So Jessica is to be blamed for the accident, or Christian is to be blamed for the accident. So we put those two sentences together. Jessica or Christian is to be blamed for the accident. So we're not certain which one of them, So we say Jessica or Christian should be blamed for this particular accident. The singular verb form is usually used for units of measurement or time. 4 quarts of oil was required to get the car running. Next, the only time when the object of the preposition factors into the decision of plural or singular verb form is when nouns and pronoun subjects like some, half, none, more, or all are followed by prepositional phrases. In these sentences, the object of the preposition determines the form of the verb. Let's go with this. All of the chicken is gone. All of the chickens are gone. Okay? So the object here, chicken, chicken is versus chickens are. If the subjects are both plurals and connected by words or, nor, neither, nor, either or, and not only, but also the verb is plural. For example, dogs and cats are both available at the pound. If one subject is singular and one is plural, and the words are connected by the words or, nor, neither, nor, either, or, and not only, or, but also, you use the verb form of the subject that is nearest to the verb. Let's look at this example. Either the bears or the lion has escaped from the zoo. Neither the lion nor the bears have escaped from the zoo. If we look at that in the first instance, we had lion being closest to the verb, so we would use has. In the second instance, we had neither the lions nor the bears, so bears would come last, so we would say bears have. We would not say bears has. We would not say lion have. We would say lion has. So the one that is closest to the verb, that's the one that you're going to use as a subject, and then determine if the verb will be singular or plural. Indefinite pronouns typically take singular verbs. For example, everyone wants to be loved. Now, what's an indefinite pronoun? An indefinite pronoun is something that does not name a particular thing or person. So everybody. Who is everybody? It could be anyone, right? So everybody wants to be loved, except for the pronouns few, many, several, both, all, and some, which always take the plural form. Here's the example. Few were left alive after the flood. So we can't say few and it means singular. Few always means more than one. If two infinitives are separated by and, they take the plural form of the verb. To walk and to chew gum require great skill. When gerunds are used as the subject of a sentence, they take the singular form of the verb, but when they are linked by and, they take the plural form. For example, standing in the water was a bad idea. Swimming in the ocean and playing drums are my hobbies. It continues now. Collective nouns like herd, senate, class, and crowd usually take a singular verb form. For example, the herd is stampeding. Titles of books, movies, novels, etc. are treated as singular and take a singular verb. For example, The Adventurer is a movie that most children enjoy. Final rule. Remember, only the subject affects the verb. Extend. Examine your reader or text. Write at least 5 sentences that are written in the present tense. Underline the subject and the verbs. Use the rules above to help you to select the correct verb to complete each sentence. A. Nobody knows the answer to this question. Okay, so nobody would be an indefinite pronoun. So that requires a singular verb. So we should say, nobody knows the answer to this question. B. Several cars were parked on the field. Now we have cars, so we would say cars was or were. And once it is plural, cars being more than one, it can't have the verb that ends with S, which would be was. So we would have to say several cars were parked on the field. C. 3 hours are a long time to wait at the bus stop. Now this one is interesting because we have hours, and normally we would say hours are. 3 hours is a long time to wait at the bus stop. And there was a rule mentioned that says that when we're dealing with time, we usually use a singular verb, right? So that would explain that. D. A bevy of ladies dances at the gala every year. In this instance, we're going to use the fact that we have the collective noun a bevy, and we use a bevy of ladies dances at the gala every year. Dark Diaries are an interesting novel. Remember that with title of magazines and books and so on, we usually refer to those as singular. So we would say Dark Diaries is an interesting novel. F. Neither the boys nor the girls travels by bus. So neither the boys nor the girls travel by bus. Now since the neither will separate the groups. But look at the groups. We have boys and we have girls. So remember now, only the subject is important in determining the verb. So let's go with the subject. Boys would do what? Travel or travels. Since it is plural, they're not going to take the verb with the S. So it would be boys travel. Then we have girls. And again, we're not going to take the verb that ends with the S since it is a plural subject, girls. So we would say girls travel. So the complete thing should be neither the boys nor the girls travel by bus. G. My sister, who is a cosmetologist, creates attractive hairstyles. So since it is my sister being one we're talking about here, my sister creates because it's singular. So even though we have the additional information, that does not change the overall subject-verb agreement. It would now be my sister creates attractive hairstyles. Remember that the subject determines the verb. H. Some of my juice have spilt. So some of my juice has spilt. I. Ackee and saltfish are loved by most Jamaicans. Now in this instance, ackee and saltfish refers to one thing. So we're going to use the fact that it represents one thing to use the singular verb is. So we would say ackee and saltfish is loved by most Jamaicans. And finally, J. The American tourist receives the gift from the hotel manager. So the correct answer would be the American tourist receives the gift from the hotel manager. So in this episode, we looked at several rules concerning subject-verb agreement. Now I know it might be a lot to take in all at once, but you have to go over these rules because they are very important to make sure that our grammar is on point. Alright guys, take the time, go over the rules and go over the examples that are provided under each set of rules. Alright, take care. Leave a few of your examples in the comment section below and I'll see you in the next episode.